All right. Welcome to our webinar called The 5 Steps Every Edupreneur Takes. My name is Jeff Bradbury from the TeacherCast Educational Network. I am so happy that you guys are here today. And today we are going to take you guys on a journey to help you guys not only build your own brand, but hopefully, if we're successful, bring in a couple extra bucks from you guys. I know if you guys are like me, the summertime is coming, it's getting warm. Our paychecks are going to be stopping at the end of June. Today, we're going to help you guys come up with a way to create a brand for yourself and build a nice little platform for yourself. Will, what do you think? Should we get started today?
Go ahead.
Well, first of all, welcome to our webinar. And again, today we're going to be talking all about the 5 steps that all edupreneurs take. Now, if the word edupreneur is a strange word, is a new word to you, we're going to tell you guys all about it and how that word came to be. Today, you're going to learn how to build your EDU brand. Now, first of all, I want to say thank you guys for taking the time to be here today. I know some of you guys are on spring break. Some of you guys are on your lunch break. We are here to help you guys out. At the end of the show today, we have a very special treat for you guys, so stick around. We're going to be giving you our brand new Build Your EDU Brand checklist. It's going to be giving you guys the tips, the tricks, and the tools to help you guys get on your journey for creating a brand for yourself, a small business for yourself. We were able to talk to some of the guests here before the show started. We got a lot of tech coaches here, and especially for tech coaches. Building a brand within your school district is so important, and we think that there's a lot of stuff that has to do with marketing that can help out tech coaches. So we're going to be talking a lot about that. So stay with us for the end of the show here. We've got a nice special treat for you guys. So why are we here? Why are you guys here? We'd love to hear from you guys. If you're in the chat, please tell us a little bit about yourself. Please tell us why you guys are here today, what you are hoping to get. We have a couple people here. My first challenge is learning how to say edupreneur. That is awesome. Thank you so much for that one, Peggy. All right, so why are we here today? No, number one, we're here to build our edu brand, our EDU brand. So we're going to be talking a little bit about finding your avatar. And it's an interesting word. I had a few people over the last couple of days email me saying, what is an avatar? What does he mean by that? Well, we're going to find that out today. We're going to talk about content creation strategies. Now, it doesn't matter if you're a podcaster, blogger, tech coach, having a strategy for your content creation is extremely important so you don't waste your time and you don't waste your readers' time. We're going to talk about creating a digital hub, something that's extremely important when we're looking at putting together our digital online platform. We're going to be talking about how to get love from the Google. How many of you guys know about the Google? We're going to learn a lot about the Google today. We're going to talk about building a following, ways that we can not only get teachers involved, get edupreneurs involved, get the educational businesses involved, but after we learn how to build our following, we're going to learn how to nurture our following, how to keep everybody, how to make everything happen. We've got a big show for you guys today, and we're going to wrap it up probably in about 45 minutes or so. So at the end of today, you guys are going to walk away with a better understanding of how your target audience is and how to reach them. Now, who is that? That could be your podcast listeners. That could be your blogging writers. That could be the teachers in your school districts. There's a lot of different ways that we can take a look at that and figure out how to understand who our target audience is and how to reach them. We're also going to talk about the best software and applications for building your EDU brand. I'm actually going to be opening up the TeacherCast Vault for you today and sharing with you guys all the different free and paid applications that make the TeacherCast Educational Network run. I'm going to be giving you guys a ton of free downloadable templates. Yay, free. So I'm going to be showing you guys that and much, much more. So sit back. We have a great show for you guys. Let's talk a little bit about who we are talking to, right? When we're building our brand, it's all about who our audience is. Today, we're gonna be looking at how to identify our avatar. We're gonna be looking at how to allow our avatar to choose our content, how to listen to our avatar through things like statistics and analytics. Let me take a quick poll over on the chat. If you guys have ever done any data-driven content, meaning you've used Google Analytics or you've used some kind of a statistic-based thing, tell me a little bit about it. What have you done in the chat box? I would love to hear from you guys on doing that. We're going to go deep dive into our digital hub, talk about websites versus blogs. You guys know there's a difference between a website and a blog, and how we're going to build our digital hub. We're going to talk a little bit about SEO. If you guys know what SEO means, please take a moment and put that in our chat box. I'd love to know if you guys are familiar with the term SEO. We're going to talk about the importance of the long game. This is true in business. This is true in podcasting. And this is really, really true in tech coaching, knowing that it's not about tomorrow. It's about the next day or the next day and the next day. And we're going to learn how to grow not just a website, but a brand. Dr. Will has been doing a great job with his brand. TeacherCast has been around for almost 8 years. We're going to give you guys the history and the stories behind both of those things. And we're going to tell you what you should be doing today, what you should be doing tomorrow in your school, with your website, with your ideas. We're going to talk today a little bit about our audience. Basic SEO tips and tricks, which I see people are putting down there. Yep, SEO means search engine optimization. We're going to talk about how to create content that is Google friendly, right? So what does Google friendly mean? That means that there must be a lot of content out there that isn't Google friendly. We're going to learn how to manipulate our content for your distribution, meaning if you're on Twitter, how does that content look? If you're on Facebook, how does that content look? If you're building a podcast, how does that look? We're going to dive a little bit into social media. See all the different things that we're hitting today. Social media 101. We're going to talk about the different platforms. We're going to talk about how to build a following on social media. And of course, the most important things is what do we do? Newsletters is where everything is today. We're going to be diving into that, how to build an email sequence, when and when not to send emails. And this is an interesting thing here. Will and I were talking about this earlier, knowing when to let go. And I'm going to try to see if I can get Will to sing the song from Frozen. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do that today, but we're going to see if I can get Will to do that. So before we get started with all of that stuff, I want to know if you guys have any questions. Please take a moment right now to leave anything in the chat, or if you guys want to come off of mute, let's, maybe we can take 30 seconds, 45 seconds or so for questions. Does anybody have any questions about anything that we're going to cover today before we get started? Today's webinar is a joint presentation with our friends over at EduMatch. Well, can you talk to us a little bit about what EduMatch is and tell us a little bit about how it started and who is behind EduMatch?
EduMatch, if I can speak as a member, is for a community that Dr. Sarah Thomas created so that educators from around the world could essentially get together, find other like-minded individuals where they could learn from each other, grow from each other, cheer each other on, and become better educators in the process.
It is a great platform. They've got a fantastic Voxer group. You can head on over to edumatch.org. Is that what I'm saying that right, Will?
Yes. And someone has a question here.
Excellent.
About who makes the decision about your brand in a school.
Ooh, that is a good question. Peggy, can we flag that one? I want to save that one for the end because really the answer is it's both. One of the questions that we talked a lot about on one of our shows, Ask the Tech Coaches, who actually creates your brand? Is it you or is it them? And how does that work if it's not you? So I think that's a good question. I want to see if we can circle back around to that one because that is an absolute good question here that we're going to certainly be hitting. So we want to say thank you to our friends over at EduMatch for making this webinar possible and supporting it as we go. A little bit about myself. My name is Jeff Bradbury. 8 years ago, I was teaching orchestra in a Central Jersey school district, started using a whole bunch of technology in my district, and wanted to come up with a way to help the teachers in my school district learn how to use technology, learn how to bring their phones into their classrooms, learn how to do all of that stuff. Again, this is back in 2011. And I was also starting to podcast with a friend of mine out in California. And somewhere in the middle of June, I said to him, I would love to create a podcast to help out my teachers and teach them how to do some of these things. And essentially, my buddy Dennis said, okay, if that's what you want to do, go do it. Go be yourself. Go create this podcast that you want to do. And essentially, he kind of like Mama Bird kind of pushed me off that tree and said, go fly. See what this is like. And that's when we created the TeacherCast podcast. It was July 11th, 2011. I remember very clearly. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't sleep, went downstairs. And next thing you know, I had a logo, I had a website, bought a whole bunch of domains. And I created a podcast. I just wanted to do something that was going to be helpful for myself and helpful for the teachers in my district. I didn't have a master plan. Maybe this sounds like you. Over time, one podcast turned into many. over time, TeacherCast turned into a place where I was putting out content to other teachers wanted to come and join content. And then next thing you know, you start working with companies. And next thing you know, somebody says to you, hey, you should monetize this. You're an edupreneur. And I said, no, I'm not. I'm a conductor. And somebody said, no. You've got something here. You need to take this to that next level. And I didn't have anybody. So anyway, so there I was and trying to figure out where to go with all of this stuff. And again, I didn't have anybody in front of me to kind of lead the pack, to kind of show me what it was. And over the last 8 years, I've basically had to build this thing on my own and kind of piecemeal with stuff. I want something different for you guys. I want something different for the tech coaches that work with me. I want to be able to give back to our community and really, really be a helpful brand and share these things, how to build all this stuff, what to do, where to go, where to do it. And that's kind of why we're here today. TeacherCast right now, I'm very, very proud of the work that we're doing. We've got 9 shows on Apple Podcasts. We do professional development. We do in classroom stuff. And we're getting into being able to work with a ton of school districts in their professional development and in their tech coaches. So I'm very, very pleased to see what's been going on with TeacherCast. I didn't have a plan to be an edupreneur. I didn't have a plan to build this into a business. And then suddenly one day, here it was. Dr. Will, talk to us a little bit about your story. You're kind of similar, but different. How did everything get to be started for you and the Dr. Will show?
Honestly, Eric Schenniger is a friend, and I reached out to him and I said, hey man, I'm trying to get like you. How can I get to the next level? And he told me that I needed to create content, and which every educator should be creating content. But for him, because he is a prolific writer, blogger. So of course that meant, Will, you need to blog. I attempted to. I had done some blogging in the past, but there was no way I knew that I was going to be able to consistently provide that type of value. So I went back to my sort of roots of my previous job, in which I was a content strategist for a career development company. And I had created a talk show for that company. So I decided, well, I can do the same thing for me. And I started doing my podcast that way. And then, last year, you and I had a conversation about analytics.
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, okay, look here and look there. And I because I never paid any attention to who my viewers were, my downloads, my listens, my plays, any of that. And I noticed something, and I said, well, this isn't what I expected, but I saw some trends of different types of shows. And then I just decided to make that whole pivot of my podcast actually focusing on personal development and entrepreneurship. And I saw the growth of my podcast just wow.
And you did a lot of things when you made that switch, right? You changed your graphics, you changed your color scheme, you changed your website around. You did a lot of different things, and you yourself became an edupreneur. So much, in fact, that you decided to talk to Dr. Sarah, and you guys came up with a little video project, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about the edupreneur.
It is a labor of love for me. For those who don't know, I actually went to film school, and I always had this idea of I would love to make a documentary. And so Dr. Sarah approached me about it. And quite honestly, at first I was going to do something on EdTech. And then I was like, nah, I can't do that. I have to tell this story about the edupreneur. And I wanted to do it because there are so many educators that we know that are out there making that greater impact with what they're doing. It's not that they're no longer educators. They're just taking their classroom to a larger stage, to greater venues. And I wanted to have them on so we could talk about, hey, what's your work-life balance like when you're doing that type of traveling? How did you discover your niche?
Yeah.
How did you create your brand? How did you figure out the business side, the taxes, the bookkeeping, all of those things. What is your secret sauce? What makes you special? And I wanted to bring that out and share that for those individuals who are thinking, hey, I'm ready to do this. And so I reached out to some people who had already previously been on my podcast and some people who I consider friends. And so, Catelyn Tucker is in it, Angela Myers, Dr. Izong, Dr. Robin Jackson. You are in here, Jeff.
I am.
Tom Murray, Eric Scheniger, and Abby Futrell. And I know I did it, you don't have to take my word for it, but I love it. And the stories that people tell, the experiences they share, it is truly something that I am proud of.
If you're looking for more information on this, I highly recommend checking it out over at teachercast.net/edupreneur. That's teachercast.net/edupreneur. And if you stick around to the end of today's webinar, we have a very special discount that's going to get you a couple bucks off of it. And we would love to have you guys stick around to the end and check it out. The full version is absolutely amazing. I know I had a good time sitting down with Dr. Will and had a great time going around and listening to what others have said who have also taken that step. Now, the question here is, can you be a full-time teacher and be an edupreneur? Will, what do you think?
Yes. And I do it myself. And in fact, there are, Dr. Izong, Jeff, Tom, and Eric.
Yeah.
They are no longer in the classroom, but they do hold full-time positions with educational organizations.
So it is certainly a great documentary. And like I said, at the end of this, we're going to be giving you guys a nice discount code if you guys are interested in getting a full copy, especially for yourself or for your school district to check out. Highly recommend it. Will, Dr. Will, how long did it take you to put this together? It was a couple months, right?
Yeah, we started in September and finished in March.
Nice. Yeah. So we will be getting into all of that as we go. So if you have any questions, please leave them in the group chat. We would love to hear from you guys. And of course, we're going to be taking some breaks as we go through here if anybody wants to hop on the microphone here. So the first thing that we want to talk about when it comes to building our brand is our avatar. Now, Dr. Will, you and I have talked a lot about this. Do you have an avatar for your podcast? Do you have somebody that when you start that recording, you close your eyes and say, I am speaking to this person?
I don't, but I should. Literally, I'm just really thinking about that teacher that is out there and they're killing it in the classroom. So that they're having success and they are thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, thinking about consulting, someone who, maybe to help make ends meet, they're working at JCPenney and I'm trying to provide them the type of value and information and education to get them to look at how they can actually monetize their talents and do what they already love, what they're passionate about, and actually get paid to do it.
So my question for you guys is, when you're out there creating your brand, creating your content, creating your podcast, putting these things together, or even being a tech coach, who is your avatar? Who is that person that you're looking for? I mean, I've asked this question to a lot of people. When you write a blog post, who's your audience? And for so many people, they don't give me the right answer. They give me a slightly correct answer, but they say things like, Jeff, my answer is educators. And if you think that's your answer, please feel free to raise your hand or anything like that. When we're looking at our avatars, we need to be specific. We need to be able to look at that person and go, what is that target audience? If we say educators, that's this, right? Like educators is a huge, huge target audience. But when I do my Ask the Tech Coach show, which you can find over at askthetechcoach.com, my target audience is technology educators, tech integration specialists, tech coaches, whatever that title is. And I'm looking to find the tech coaches that are either new or maybe in their first or second year, and they're struggling to figure out the position, right? Maybe they're one person in 6 buildings like myself. Maybe they're one person in a brand new school district, again, kind of like myself, where you're trying to figure out how to stand up. You're trying to figure out how to move around, how not to get in the way, how to be helpful, how to do your job. we build our topics, we build our podcasts, we build our blog posts around the concept of this specific person. However, when I'm talking to ed tech companies, right, and I do my show called Ed Tech in the Classroom, my avatar for that are the administrators, the superintendents, the people with the money, right? I bring in companies to do a podcast with me, and it's all about how do I sell their product to my user. So yes, we talk to that second grade teacher who might be using the tool, but I'm really doing a show for the people who have the pocketbooks, who have the money. Every single thing that we do, it all comes down to who is that avatar. So when we're looking about this, what do they look like? Right? What do they do? What information are they seeking? How are they seeking that information? Are they seeking it through social media? Are they seeking it through podcasts? Are they seeking it through webinars? Are they seeking it through YouTube videos? How are they looking to get that information for you? Another important question is, what do they already know? When we look at building our content strategy, which we're going to get to in a couple seconds here, it's what does that person know? For instance, I'll give you an example. When I talked with Dr. Will a while ago, my first questions were, where are you? What's your biggest pain points? What do you want to get out of this? Where are you going? Where do you see yourself? I need to figure out where my avatar is in their journey so I know what type of content that they need, number one. And then number two, what type of content I should be creating so that way when they come back to me, I have more additional content for them to consume. And it's also important to know what their goals and objectives are. And that's why before we started our webinar, we talked to some of the people that were here a little early. Why are you here? What do you want to get out of this? It's always important to know who your who your avatar is. And again, that's why when we put out our emails for this particular webinar, I said, does this meet you? Are you somebody who has a dream, somebody who has a website but don't know what to do, somebody who's kind of worried that maybe in a few more months your paycheck's going to go away for the summertime, because we're all mostly 10-month employees, right? So being able to identify that avatar is so important to put something together. All right. So I always ask 3 questions when it comes to your avatar here. Number one is, what are the most important qualities of your avatar, right? So talking to Dr. Will, and let me ask you this question here, Will, like, what are the important qualities? When you start your podcast, you are looking to have listeners who want to learn something, right? Like, what are the things that you
Yes.
want your audience to be ready at? Like, because, I might not be your audience, but somebody else might be. Like, what are your goals for that avatar when listening to their show? You want them to walk away with what?
I want educators to, though, especially, first of all, I'm looking for that particular subset of educators who want to become a consultant, who want to write a book, who want to deliver a course for money. So I'm not trying to reach every educator in the world. I'm trying to reach that small subset of educators who are looking to offer services and create products for pay. And for me, what I want them to get out of it is actionable information.
And so if you're in our chat box, I'm just putting up a question here. Please take a moment in our chat. Tell me who your avatar is. Is it first grade teachers who want to get into STEM education? Is it tech coaches who have one building or multiple buildings? Or is it administrators, whoever it is? Tell me who your avatar is. Who do you want to be speaking to with this content that we're going to be creating? The second question that we have here is, what happens if our avatar decides to get up and leave the room? This is an important one that we're going to be dealing with at the end of today's presentation when we're talking about our newsletter. The ability to say, I thought that Dr. Will was my avatar, but he doesn't seem to be interested. Why? Why not? Where can I go with this? Or is it just easier to say, you know what, Dr. Will's not my avatar. I'm going to come over here now for a second. So that's an important question. And the last question I always ask is, how do we determine what is the best way for communicating? Is that a podcast? Is that a blog? Sometimes that's determined by location. Sometimes that's determined by age. Sometimes that's determined by subject, right? So if you are one that wants to get into podcasting, but you know that the demographic of your avatar doesn't listen to podcasts, maybe podcasting shouldn't be for you. So we're going to look at a little bit of things there when it comes to your avatar. And as Peggy puts in here, focusing them, knowing what your target audience is. And I always look at that and say, okay, now that we have our avatar in mind, now that I know what I want, how do we create a needs assessment? Now that I know that Dr. Will is my avatar, what do I need? What are the topics that Dr. Will or my avatar want me to cover? What are some of the ways that I should be covering it? Again, video, audio, visually, kinesthetically, all those different ways. What platforms, in what way should I be making the content? And really what I'm trying to do here by coming up with this needs assessment is to come up with 3 or 4 or 5 major categories, right? Certain things that we can put into our content strategy, these big categories here first. So now we have our avatar. Will, you have an idea of what your avatar is?
Yes.
Now we're going to look at our content strategy here. Now this is the biggie. Now that we know who we're speaking to, what kind of content are we going to get through to them, right? So we're going to think about our avatar here. What do they want? What do they need? Most importantly, how do they need it? Then you always want to look at how often should we be publishing. For instance, with our Ask the Tech Coach show, that's once every single week. Every single Monday morning, that thing goes out just like the sun comes up. Every single Monday, we do our best to put that thing out there. Some people do it bi-weekly. Many of you guys, if you want to raise your hands here, but we just had Matt Miller on from Ditch That Textbook. He says, look, every Tuesday and Thursday, I believe it is, he puts out content. Everybody can expect from him either a blog post, a podcast, or whatever. He's got his stuff to do. I'll tell you where it doesn't work. It doesn't always work if you're sporadic, right? And that's been one of my Achilles heels on TeacherCast is some days I'll put out 2 podcasts. Some days I'll go 10 days without putting out a podcast because you never know where the sun hits you. So being consistent with your content strategy is absolutely there. And it's always important to know what kind, right? Long form versus short form. If you're looking at Google right now is really, really pushing blog posts that are 1,500 to 2,000 words. That's why you're seeing a lot of these ultimate guide to Google Docs or something like that. Whereas a couple of years ago, Google wanted short content. So right now, long form content is it if you're putting out stuff. Does that work for tech coaches? No. Unfortunately, again, it's know your audience. If I put out a 2,000-word blog post and give it to my teachers, no one's going to be reading that. They're going to be wanting to see something really, really short with a video. But again, what types of content? We have written, audio, and video. I'm also curious here, if you guys are on our chat box, what type of content are you looking to create? Are you guys looking to create blog posts? Are you guys looking to create audio of some kind, video of some kind? I'm just curious, what type of content are you guys looking to create? And if I'm thinking about this right, Will, you are mostly a podcaster, right? Or do you dabble into blogs at all?
Not for myself. I do write for EdTech publications.
Mm-hmm. And that's also important, right? Being able to share off with different things. So we have our avatar. We have our content strategy. Now, one of the things that we're going to share with you guys at the end of this webinar is a link to get into our online course. And with our online course, we're going to give you guys a bunch of free templates. One of them here is a very famous template that we've been putting out for the last year or so. It is a Google Sheets to-do list. I've been using this to-do list now for the last couple years. I use it constantly as a tech coach. And I don't know if you can see my mouse here, but where it says subject in green, subject in blue, I actually take this and I put in like curriculum director, superintendent, technology director, principals. So that way, every time they give me a to-do list, I just keep track of it as we go through here. So, what happened there? So one of the templates that you guys are going to get just for being here at the webinar is this to-do list template. It is free. You can download it right into your Google Drive and you can have that with yourself. The other template that I'm going to give you guys after being here today is our editorial calendar. Now, again, this is a Google Sheets template that comes into 2 different tabs. One of them says blog post, one of them says podcast. But if you know how to play with Google Sheets, you can doctor this up however you need to. We've been using this to keep all of our podcasts on track. It's got author, podcast, title, post started, post finished. All these things have conditional formatting on them. So when you check them off, different colors and stuff come up. But basically the way that I handle this is I write the author down, I write the post topic, I put the title, and then this is really my calendar. I started a post, I finished it, I wrote a bumper, I published it, I put it on the newsletter. Finally, I'm done with it. So this has really kept me on my content creation taken, it's helped me keep organized. And so I wanted to share that with you guys today. You guys are going to have an opportunity to download this stuff at the end. If you're excited about that, can I get a thumbs up or a heck yeah or something in the chat box? That would be awesome. All right. Here's the question for you. We're going to do a lot of audience participation here. Should you have a website? How many of you guys in the chat box think, should you have a website? Yes or no? What do you guys think? I see definitely. I see yes. I see yes. I see yes. So the question here is, what kind of a website, right? We talked a little bit at the beginning of the webinar of website versus blog. Now, if you guys know the difference between what is a website and what is a blog, see if you guys can take a moment here and fill that one out. What is the difference between a website and a blog? Does anybody know? Will, do you know that question? What is the difference between a website and a blog?
A website for me is a static site.
Yes.
That does not provide any source of engagement. Whereas a blog is supposed to be dynamic, where you are supposed to engage with your audience with the content you put out.
Absolutely. Couldn't say it best, right? Now we'll mention a few words here. We're gonna talk about and define those two, right? Like, we look at a website as a thing. It's a static piece of content. It doesn't go anywhere. There's words. What would be an example of that? Your About Me page, your contact form, your bio page, different things like that. Content that's just there for content's sake. On the other hand, we're going to talk about dynamic content. That's your blog content. If I was to ask you guys, what is the definition of a blog? How would you describe a blog to somebody who doesn't know what a blog is? How would you guys just write that one in the chat room here? Will, how do you describe the term blog?
I look at it as an opinion piece.
Okay.
Based upon whatever content you would like to share. You could be sharing your experiences. You could be sharing your thoughts. Mm-hmm. But it's not something very formal as, let's say, an article written for a company where someone would proofread it and make sure that everything was, factual and meet certain legal standards.
He's right about that. I look at this in two different ways. A blog is nothing more than a journal, right? It's a diary. It's content that when you create new content, it just gets pushed down in reverse chronological order. So when we're talking about websites, how many of you guys have a website out there? And if so, please tell us where your website is hosted. Some of the popular ones are WordPress and Wix, Weebly, or Google Sites. Those seem to be some of the more popular ones here. And let's just kind of dive down. Wix and Weebly and Google Sites, I consider them websites. It's mostly static content. Whereas WordPress is really a blog. It is a blog designed with static content, whereas Wix and Weebly is static content that kind of has a blog to it. I hope I'm not getting people confused. What we're looking for is to learn the word content management system. I see a lot of people here on Google Sites. That's pretty awesome. Content management system. Most people here are using WordPress for some kind of version of their blog, their website. Now, Blogger, of course, is certainly in there too. Blogger is a content management system. So what is the difference? Why is a CMS kind of important? I don't want to go into this too much, but content management systems are basically databases, right? It's a big, huge spreadsheet that you can take all these different content and put them together. So when we were building our content strategy a couple moments ago, I said, please take a moment when you're doing that avatar search, come up with the 3 to 4 topics that you're going to be hitting. These then become your categories on your WordPress website or on your digital hub, right? So if I was looking at things like categories and tags, I'd be looking at a category for podcast, a category for editorial, a category for branding, a category for tech coach, the big arms that from which I'm going to be driving content down underneath. So for instance, if I was putting a post out about tech coaching, underneath of there, it might say Google Drive, Google Sheets, Google Classroom, Microsoft Office, whatever it is. I might have a tag under it, but it's all going to be under the tech coach category. Now, if that's a little bit too much, we'll talk about that as we go, or please feel free to ask some questions here. Maybe Dr. Will can help me out with that. But really, it comes down to when you're looking at your website, static content versus digital content. We want to create a digital hub from which everything, our content, our social media, our newsletter, everything can be created around. I see some people out there using WordPress. I wanted to always take a moment here just to kind of hit. Some people are using WordPress.com. Some people are using WordPress.org. And these are just two big words. .com is like a free version of WordPress that's self-hosted. Sorry, a free version of WordPress that's hosted on WordPress.com, whereas .org, you would need to have like a host, like a GoDaddy or a Bluehost or a HostGator or something like that. And we can certainly dive into more of that after the webinar is over. But I just wanted to kind of bring up some of these because I see a lot of people here using Google Sites, but I also see some people using WordPress. Let's see, a couple of questions here. Do you evaluate the success of your blog by the number of people who leave comments and interact with you? That's a good question. Will, is success of a blog all about the comments?
Yes and no. And what I mean by that is some people get caught up in, man, I need 1,000 followers. I need all of this stuff going on. But here's the problem. If you have 1,000 followers and you have very little engagement, then when you put out that book, when you put out that podcast, when you put out those things that you are trying to sell, more than likely those people aren't going to buy from you because you just have a bunch of people who are going to your stuff, but they're not rocking with you. But when you have a tight group of people that are actually engaging with your content, then that counts more than saying, wow, I have all of these views.
Nice. And again, success is different. If I was a tech coach and I'm building a tech coach website, it's not about the comments. It's about how engaged my teachers are with that content. So let's take a look at that very question here. How do you know? So let me start that one again. Do you know who your target avatar is? Now, I know Will and I have talked about this. If I was to ask you guys on the chat, who is your target avatar? When you create your content, who should you be writing for? Who is that person or who is that thing, as a hint, that you are actually thinking about when you write your content? Because after all, we write our content so our content can be found. So who is our target audience when it comes to our websites? Who is our target audience when it comes to our podcasts? Anybody want to leave a message on that one? A couple good answers are coming in here. Will, what's the right answer for this? Who's your target audience? I know you know me well enough for this.
For your target audience?
Our target audience. Everybody has one target audience when they hit that publish button. Who do they want, or what do they want to find their content?
Seriously, I've said it. I want those educators that they want to go out there and monetize their talents. Now, normally these are individuals who are already presenting at conferences. These are people who are very active on Twitter already. They have a PLN. They're talking about writing a book. They're talking about, hey, I'm going to go here or there. Those are the people that I'm trying to reach. People who are already interested, active, and so to speak.
Right.
Because I have a saying that you don't sell water to someone who isn't thirsty.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not out there, trying to, beg you, please become an edupreneur. I want to attract those people. I want to bring in those people, reel in those people who are already, hungry for it, thirsty for it. And they're out there actually taking steps to get there. They just need to know, how do I get to the next level?
I totally agree. And I'm looking at all the chat boxes here, and they're saying things like, my target audience is my teachers, my administrators, my this and my that. And my question has to be, how do they find your content? Right? So there's a step in between there that says when we put out content, somebody needs to be searching for it. And so I want to give you guys a little bit of a slant on here. My belief, our target audience is Google. Our target audience is the search engines, right? That could be the search engines. That could be the social media search engines. That could be a lot of different things. But in order for our teachers to find this stuff, in order for random people out in the world to go find this stuff, we're looking for it as the search engines, right? When I started off 8 years ago, my number one traffic source was coming from Twitter. My number two traffic source was coming from Facebook. And then suddenly algorithms changed. Things got different. And had to learn a little bit about SEO, or as you guys have said, search engine optimization. And if this is something that interests you, I don't want to go too far down this road here, but if you guys are going to be creating podcasts, blogs, journals, things that aren't specifically for your school district, this is an area that I would love to talk to you guys out about and help out. Right now, TeacherCast is getting about 85% of their traffic from natural Google search, which is a very, very good number for things. So but that's just because I spend a lot of time worrying about this stuff and trying to maximize hits and stuff like that on all of our blog posts and podcast titles and stuff. So it's all about how do we get people to find the content that we want. Well, we're going to take a quick moment here. I know we're a little bit long for time. We're going to go quickly over the next little bit here. But is there any questions that are standing out? And Peggy, if you want to help me out with this too. But Will, are there any questions that you've seen that we might want to quickly jump back to?
Ooh. So someone that wants to know, well, is that you, Jeff? Well, Jeff, can you hit a little more, maybe kind of hit them up on their target audience just a little bit, because someone says that
sure,
their target audience, right, their avatar is school administrators and principals.
So let's say that let's play this. If my avatar is the school administrator, I'm going to do a little studying. Where are the school administrators, right? They're on Facebook. They're in instructional leadership Facebook groups. They're on Voxer. They're in Voxer groups. They're on social. They're on Twitter. They're using the EduMatch hashtag. They're using the EduLeaders hashtag. They're using the where are these administrators looking? Where are they lurking? And so then I have to figure out, what do they want? Well, they want to figure out how to become better leaders. They want to figure out how to help and create programs for their teachers. They want to be able to figure out, where can I find the best ed tech to bring in? You see where I'm going with this? Like, once I identify that administrator is my avatar, where are they? What type of content are they creating? Maybe I have a quick Twitter chat with a few principals and say, hey, are you listening to podcasts? Are you reading blog posts? Do you follow any major publications? So you ask a bunch of those questions to kind of get that avatar profile that we talked about, to start to figure out, where should I be pushing that content in? If I'm talking to a principal and I know he's always doing the EduMatch hashtag and he listens to podcasts every week, then I'm going to be making some podcasts using the EduMatch hashtag. And I'm going to be able to target my content to that person by asking the simple question of, hey, what are your pain points? What are you trying to figure out? So there's a lot of different things that we can do to help find that target audience. Does that help you out a little bit, Will?
Yeah, I'm good. I just want people to not over sort of generalize, what they're thinking, but as you said, to be able to pinpoint and be as specific, as granular, as possible. Because even when you're talking about ed tech and technology integration, you're talking about administrators, if your expertise is one-to-one Chromebooks, you're not trying to talk to administrators at schools that are one-to-one iPads.
Right. And even if you're a tech coach, right? Like, you've got 400 teachers to deal with. Are you going to be dealing with 400 of them? Probably not. You're going to start off with the 20 teachers that really, really want to learn, and then you're going to build off of that. Right. So you're always trying to find that small focus group that then you can keep going. The question just came in. Do you start growing your audience with free content and then adding the paid content? Yes.
For sure.
Absolutely. Always start. And even if you're not dealing with paid content, because again, you're a tech coach, give them something for free. Give them something for free. Give them a template. Give them a little, anything you can do to get into their classrooms is certainly going to be good. All right. Let's get back into these, because we have a few more slides to go here. The next thing we're going to talk a little bit about, so we talked about who was our avatar. We talked about creating content for them. We talked about how to find them. Let's talk a little bit about social media. How many of you guys are on Twitter? And if you are on Twitter, please take a moment in our chat to leave your Twitter address, your @ there. We would love to follow you guys. Maybe Peggy can help us out with that, right? the question is always, which social media websites are you on and where your avatar is, right? And then from there, let me bring somebody in here. All right. So where are they? Where should you be? Not everybody should be marketing their social stuff on Snapchat. That's not where the educational leaders are. Maybe they're on Instagram. Maybe they're on YouTube. Wherever your Twitter, your avatars are, that's where you should be. I would highly recommend learning about social media algorithms. I'm happy to help you out with that one. They've changed just about every single year for various reasons, right? Know your characters. You know what I mean by know your characters, Will? I mean, if Twitter only has 180 characters or whatever the number is these days on the Twitter characters, know how long that stuff is.
Mhm.
If you're making a podcast, know how many characters are actually seen in the title of your podcast. Because if you're doing an iTunes podcast and you're doing, learn how to make an avatar featuring Dr. Will and no one's going to see all of that stuff, right? Leverage your hashtags. And I always say, be a human, not a machine. Nobody wants to interact with somebody who's just popping out dead content. Always try to be personal about all that stuff. Oh, look at that. We have a lot of people over on Twitter today. So please take a moment, guys. Follow everybody who's in our webinar. Say hello. We are happy that you guys are here. Finally, the fifth step is nurturing, right? So we've been able to grow our audience through social media. Now that we have our audience, it's all about keeping them. And this is a biggie. This is all about emails, email marketing. And, it's a weird thing. Dr. Will and I have had a lot of conversations recently over email marketing. Is it too much? In order for you guys to be here, you probably got 3 or 4 emails from us announcing this and sharing this and nurturing it and try to get you guys to see what things are. There's a lot of different things out there. How many of you guys have an email list or are looking to get into email lists? We would love to hear from you guys. Even if you're a tech coach, email marketing is extremely important. Let's say that you just did a PD session with your school. How are you going to follow that up with your teachers? Are you going to be sharing templates? Are you going to be doing a Tech Tip Tuesday? How is that working? So I wanted to share with you guys a few of the more popular email platforms. MailChimp is the biggest one. It's also free. Aweber has a free account. Constant Contact, I believe, has a free account. And ConvertKit is amazing, but does not have a free plan. When we're looking at emails, we talk a little bit about broadcast emails. That's what you guys got from me today. Everybody on the list gets the same announcement. Everybody on the list every Tuesday gets the broadcast. Everybody, it's just basic content. However, if you've got a good email marketing system, you can create sequences. So for instance, if you guys are on the webinar about 12:30 today, you guys got an email that reminded you of all the links to be here, right? You guys got that. That was sent to just the people who clicked on a certain form at a certain time of day using a certain type of answer. And I was able to target market just you guys. So that way, I didn't have to broadcast everybody what the time and dates and stuff were. So, Dr. Will, I know we're kind of running short on time here, but what's your philosophy on email marketing? We've talked a little bit about this.
For me, the less is it. I don't like being inundated by them too much.
Sorry.
And when I go to websites, like there are certain websites I'm really like, man, I want to go. I'm so excited. And then you go there and all of a sudden you get all these pop-ups like sign up. And I'm like, hey man, I hadn't even seen what you got to offer yet.
Yes. And that is so important that you said that, right? Because so many people start with that first email and go, buy me, or check this out, or click here. And, the way that I've best been able to explain that, it's like going out on your first date, and before she opens the door, there you are with the ring. Like you don't pop the question before you say hello to somebody. You got to nurture. You got to go out. You got to go have fun. You got to take some time with these things. It's all a matter of just of getting your audience to know who you are and having you get to know your audience, right? Right, Will?
Yes, for sure.
The last thing I'm going to mention on here is you got to know when to hold them and you got to know when to fold them. Will, do you know what a warm and a cold lead are?
I don't.
How many of you guys have heard the term warm leads and cold leads? If you do, put it in the chat box. We'd love to hear from you about all that stuff. Here's the deal: if you are on an email list, let's say you guys sign up today, and you don't click on anything of mine for 90 days, right? You get put into a category that's called cold leads, right? So basically, a cold lead or a cold subscriber is somebody who's not interacting with your content. They're kind of dead weight on your list, right? So many of these email marketers, you're being charged for how many people are there. And it's great to say I have 1 million people on my email list, but if out of 1 million people, 999,999 aren't interacting with your content, you're paying for 1 million people that aren't being active. So the question is it better to have 100 people on your list or 10,000 people on your list? And usually the answer is I'd rather have 100 people who are active than 10,000 who are not. So when I say know when to hold them, know when to fold them, every single month I go into my list and I use ConvertKit, and I basically cut off 2,000 to 3,000 people every single month from my newsletter because they're not being active. So, you might have noticed sometimes, if you subscribe to a newsletter and then suddenly you realize, oh, I haven't gotten a newsletter from that person. Maybe it's because they found you as a cold lead and they were scraping their list a little bit. It's common. It's supposed to happen that way. So we can talk a little bit more about email marketing as we go, but I think there's a huge opportunity for anybody that's looking to build a brand, both as a business person or especially as a tech coach. I do this all the time with my teachers, and it works. It gets me into the classroom. It gets hits on my blog and on my podcast, all those different things. So we talked a lot about those different things here. And we are coming up on time, but if there's any extra questions here, would love to have them as we go through and wrap up. Will, I think we're covering a lot of content here, and I do want to say thank you for everybody for being here, but we are not done yet. We've got a few more extra things as we go. So we'll keep an eye on the chat box here. If there's any questions, feel free to stop me here. Now, I told you guys that I was going to open up my toolkit. These are the things that make me tick. These are the things that keep the TeacherCast Educational Network going. I am happy to talk about any of these things after we're done here with the webinar. We'll leave some time for Q&A when everything is over here. But we do all of our hosting on a platform called Podcast Websites. It is done through WordPress. I keep all my email through Gmail, and my newsletter is ConvertKit. ConvertKit is not free. Gmail is. Podcast websites is not free. That's a paid thing. Social media, TweetDeck is a great platform. It's got a whole bunch of columns. You can organize things by hashtag or by people. I love TweetDeck. It's free. Social postings I do that through CoSchedule. That is a premium service. Project management, I use a fantastic program called Plutio. If you've never checked it out, it's like Slack, it's like Asana, but it's like half the price. It is awesome, and it does free invoices, free marketing, free billing, all those different things. So, and it doesn't take a percentage off like QuickBooks does. So I use Plutio for all of that stuff. My booking is done through Book Like a Boss. Check that out. It's a great platform for that. Graphics, I use Canva or Pixelmator. How many of you guys are Canva fans out there? I love me some Canva. I'm also a Canva ambassador, so I love all that stuff. And Pixelmator is like a $50 program on Apple, but it's everything that Photoshop does, but for $50. It's pretty amazing for that. I also am a subscriber of Events Frame. That's how we do our Ask the Tech Coach Mastermind and how we can do discounts and events and different stuff like that. For SEO, you got to know things like Google Analytics, Google Search Console, and I even subscribe to a service called Link Cheetah, and that's pretty cool. That actually goes out and checks different links for me. And I use Google Sites to create a data dashboard for myself. So if you guys have any questions about any of those things, please feel free to leave them in the chat. I would love to help you out with all that. Now, before we go, I want to give you guys my 5 tips for success. Who's ready for some 5 tips for success? Raise your hands. Number 1, make a drawing and hang it up. My avatar is absolutely in my head. It's on my wall. You can't see it back here, but I know exactly who I'm talking to with that tech coach. The other day when I was working with somebody, going to show you her website shortly, I said, who is your avatar? Draw it. She says, my avatar is an administrator. I said, what does that administrator look like? And she drew me this awesome picture of an administrator at their desk with all this paper piling up and the phone's ringing, and it's a busy administrator. I said, great, go with that. What does that avatar want? What does that administrator need? Number 2, think about your website as a digital hub. Don't look at it as a website. Don't look at it as a blog. Look at it as the center of everything that you do. And I always suggest stay off the computer till the very last minute, meaning draw your website, draw your categories, write stuff. The best tool I've ever bought myself was an iPad with an Apple Pencil. So whenever I work with teachers and stuff, I just draw everything. It saves you hitting the delete button. Tip number 3, learn a little bit about search engine optimization. Look outside of EDU for advice. Look at people like Neil Patel. Look at people like Pat Flynn. Learn a little bit about SEO. My tip for social media is automate, but keep things personal, meaning it's okay to whenever, set up a system that automates your postings on social media, but keep things personal. Say hello to people. Email marketing. Don't be afraid to thin the pack. Again, if you have a whole bunch of cold leads, it's okay to let them go. It's okay to let them go. All right. So I want to share with you guys two quick success stories. Number 1, my friend Kelly, she was recently a member of our EdTech Coach Mastermind. She's the one I just mentioned to you. She wanted to create a website to help out administrators. So she created a website called The Incremental Drip. It is amazing. Her mission was to create a shift in the culture of traditional schools, one leader and one lesson at a time, but with a googly twist, which is awesome. Right? She's a tech coach, but she wants to talk to administrators. So she's bringing in that tech coach admin stuff. I'll drop the link to her website in there. And yes, Dr. Will, Sunny is an amazing source also. And I also just got done last year doing this website for the Center of Family Resources. This is another, it was a school. It's our local community center here, but they wanted a whole bunch of stuff, different school districts, it was a big project, but we put together a nice digital hub for them to help out an entire community. Okay. So the question is, where do I find the help? Right? This is why we're all here. What do? I have this idea. I have a dream. I want to go with something. Where do I find the help for all of these things? Gabriel says, do I recommend the old or new version? New version. Don't go with the old, because the old version is going to be outdated soon. So where do I find the help for all of this stuff? Number 1, you can always check out everything over at teachercast.net. We have hundreds, if not thousands, of great resources for all that stuff. If you're looking at getting into podcasting, and again, Peggy can help me out with the links here, you can go over to educationalpodcasting.com. We've got all the tips and tricks for resources, tutorials, how to make a website, all these great things we have in website form, tutorial form. I'm constantly adding to that. A brand new site that we opened up 2 months ago is called Educational Web Design. If you're looking for help building your website, if you're looking for some suggestions on how to improve your website, you can go over to educationalwebdesign.com. I've actually been putting together a team of educators and non-educators who are great with web design, graphics, and many of the big edupreneurs, even the ones that are on the Edupreneur video wheel, their websites were created by my team or members of my team. So you can certainly check out everything over at educationalwebdesign.com. And a brand new platform, which we're going to be announcing today, actually right this second, and we're going to be launching in the next few weeks, is going to be our flagship platform here to surround everything, called buildyouredubrand.com. So there's a lot of neat things that we've got going on to help you guys out there, but we're not done with that. We actually have a few webinar bonuses today that we're really excited to share with you guys about, to help you guys learn how to build your EDU brand. And the first one is something that we mentioned at the beginning. Will, I am excited about this. You have been able to hook us up with a nice discount. If you go to teachercast.net/edupreneur and use the discount code TCDiscount, you got a pretty nice discount on the Edupreneur. Tell us one more time, what can we learn after watching the Edupreneur video?
How to discover your niche, how you learn the business side, taxes, creating systems, which Jeff talks about, how you create systems and automations to help you simplify what you're doing, work-life, family balance, etc. It is a wonderful documentary in which I think you'll become inspired, empowered, and learn the information that'll help you move forward.
And the price is awesome too. So thank you for hooking us up with that. And that's only available for everybody who's on this webinar here. So check that out. teachercast.net/edupreneur with the coupon code TCDiscount. You can get it for only $11.99. Tell them TeacherCast sent you. It's a pretty awesome film. And the last thing, and the thing I'm most excited about here, is if you go over to teachercast.net/help-me-get-started. If you are here today, that is probably because you guys have a vision. You guys have a dream. You guys are looking for help getting your vision, your dream, your hobby to be a side hustle, to bring in some income. Look, if you guys are like me, We all know it. We're 10-month employees. Our paychecks are coming to an end at the end of June. How do we bring in a little bit of income? We usually offer our coaching for this on a 5-week bundle. And if you guys are here as your webinar, you guys can go to this website, teachercast.net/help me get started. Peggy, if you can put that one in there. I'll give you guys a webinar code. Code is webinar to get $100 off your first coaching bundle. You guys are going to get 5 coaches with me, and we can talk about any topics that you want. We can talk about how to build your brand, how to create your website, different themes for your website, plugins, images, how to create a newsletter, email funnels, landing pages, giveaways, making great presentations, anything that you got. We'll give you guys $100 off your first coaching bundle. It is an amazing deal. I've been working with teachers for the last 8 years who have been taking advantage of all this stuff. Will and I have had a chance to work together. Will, you've been doing some pretty good things after our conversations, haven't you?
I have seen great growth in my podcast and greater clarity in what I'm doing.
So check that out today, teachercast.net/help me get started. I am here to help you guys build your EDU brand, and I would love to help you guys be successful, to give you guys a little bit of something extra for your family this year. We're going to take a quick stop here. We're coming up at the top of the hour. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the chat, or if anybody wants to go off of mute and ask them here, we are here for you guys. If anybody wants to chime in and unmute themselves, we are good for questions right now.
Okay. Someone would like to see the discount again?
So the discount for the video is TCS video, and the discount for the webinar is, or for the coaching services is webinar. All right. Since we don't have any questions right now, or you can certainly put them in the chat box. One final time, we mentioned this at the top, but I want to say thank you guys. This is the last thing, Peggy, if you can put this in the chat. But we have our free Build Your EDU brand checklist. You can go to teachercast.net/build your EDU. I got to change that. Yeah, Build Your EDU brand online course. Not only do you get a chance to sign up for our free online course that's going to go through everything that we talked about today in greater detail, but you also get all of our free templates. You get our free cheat sheets. You get your discount on your webinar video and everything here. All there by going to teachercast.net/build your EDU brand online course. We've been having fun creating it, and we certainly have been having fun getting all the feedback. So guys, I want to say thank you so much for your time today. And Will, thank you so much, not only for including me in the documentary, but for all the great work that you're doing over on your channel, and especially the great work that happens over at EduMatch. So guys, thank you so much for your time today. And we are going to wrap it up, but we're going to keep this on for a few more minutes to answer any last minute questions. And Dr. Will, thank you so much for your time, man.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on.
And I want to say one last time, thank you everybody out there on behalf of everybody here in the TeacherCast Educational Network. My name is Jeff Bradbury, reminding you guys to keep up the great work in your classroom and continue sharing your passions with your students.